oil products, different quality products. So we only have 2 crude oils, okay? So just to make sure, crude oil 1 that we can use has a quality level of 10, crude oil 2 has a quality level of 5. So oil 1 is better quality, okay? Now to make gasoline, the required quality level of the gasoline must be 8. You see, 10 and 5, huh? Got to try to get there to 8. For oil, it's 6. How many barrels do we have? That's kind of like, just like we said, how many of each type. For crude, we can buy up to 5,000 barrels. For crude 2, we can buy up to 10,000. Okay. Now, whatever we make, we sell. So, for example, in this case, you make your decision, right? How many should we do? But we also got to see how much we make, how much profit do we get. There it is. Every barrel of gasoline, I get $75. Every barrel of heating oil, I get 60. Okay, so let me just start off. It's being very suboptimal. I'm going to say, let's say we start with, we're just going to do 100 of each. Okay, hold on. Which doesn't make sense. Okay. Okay. So we'll work on this. We're going to play, but right now we just say, let's say our decision right now is, I'm going to use 100. I'm going to just use 100 of each type. Well, okay. The first thing I'm going to do is do a sum, right? So if I actually use 100 to make gasoline and 100 to make a heating oil of crude 1 oil, how much crude 1 oil did I end up using? 200. I got 5,000. That's fine, I can do that. I just won't make that much money. Okay, and then same thing here. Okay, now how many barrels do I end up selling, assuming I make the constraints? I don't know yet. Well, if I could blend those two, 100 from each crude 1 and 2, I would then combine them and I would blend them and I would make 200 barrels of gasoline, right? Because that's 200. So I'm just going to again do a sum of these two. And there it is. Now, as a quick test too, so I'm going to drag that across. There, 200. So, you know, maybe let me just double check this. I'll put 200. I'm just going to check 200. Just see if it all adds up, right? Okay, it's working. I got 300, 300, right? Of the 2. Now, notice that we're doing quality points. Let me explain one thing that's interesting, because here we could figure it out, right? If we wanted to know, we know that the average quality of gasoline needs to be 8. Why couldn't I just put the average quality to be 8 and then just simply do a sum product of 200 times 10 plus 100 times 5 divided by 300? And then just say that the average is greater than, as a constraint, is greater than or equal to 8. And the problem is that so we can't do that, although you might, but you can never put in any of these constraints where you have something dividing. So please read the textbook. It tells you why we can't do stuff with dividing. So when you, in here, that's why we're doing, instead, these quality points that we're going to figure out. So let me actually show you. So the quality point here that's required is, how many barrels do we have? It's B18, that's 300. If we actually have 300 though, we have to say that the average quality for gasoline has to be 8. So if we're selling 300 barrels, then the total quality of points of all 300 barrel has to be 300 times 8. So I multiply that, and I got 2,400. Similarly, cutting across, if I'm selling 200, if I made 200 barrels of heating oil, then the total points, since the average should be 6, then 200 times 6 should be 1,200. So I got 1,200. Now, what's the quality point right now? If I have 200 and 100 of the 2 mixed, we equal sum product. Right, sum product of these two, B16, B17, times these two, right? B7, B8, which I'm going to press F4 because I'm going to be dragging across. So you can see that, right? 200, because I'm blending. 200 times quality 10, it's like octane level, and you got to mix up. 200 times 10 plus 100 times 5, right? So I can't be putting too much at a 5 because it's going to lower the 8, right? But we'll figure it out. So I'm going to do right parentheses, enter. All right, my quality points is above. It's cool. So I made it, and now I cut across, and I also made it there. So we can start to mix, and you can start to do this. And now we have to do the revenue. So right now, if that's all we're doing, then it's simply the sum product of how many we sold, we made, which is 300 gasolines, 200 heating oil, comma, times the price. And the price is 75 and 60 respectively. So I press enter. And right now I made 34,500. Of course I want to make more. I want to be able to fit the constraints. And again, it's kind of interesting. Now this one seems pretty easy if you already have it set up. I'm not going to belabor the point. I used the Waystar time. You would try to see if anybody could do it without running solver, see how close you can get to the best solution intuitively. Yes, sir?
For the red cells, you just put in like a random number?
Right now, before I run it, when we run solver, we're going to say, hey, you put the numbers in here, right? So right now, I'm just putting numbers to make sure the math is working, you know? And that's always, you know, you should pick stuff you can easily calculate and see if it's working. So, but you know, I can add, I can see that it's all working. So now we're ready to run. And all we have to do now is, again, right, probably make it integers, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to see what happens. I'm going to run, but how many constraints? 1, 2, right? That's it. So this one's a simple one. This is just blending the different types of products to make different types of raw materials. These are raw materials to make the two products. In the hiking situation, blending all the various categories of students to make the 3 services. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and go to data, solver. I'm going to say that one. We're going to max it, the changing table, changing cells or the ping. And now we're just going to add barrels used has to be less than barrels available, and quality points have to be, and be careful, has to be greater than or equal to, how many points is necessary. We say okay. So that's it so far. I know I should make it integer, but I'm just going to solve it. It didn't need it. See, sometimes you don't need it, right? So if you don't need it, it still came out integer. That's faster. It's always faster. You don't put the freaking integer.